Yo! Hi, everybody! How's everybody doing, baby? What's good? What's good? Just like starting to get everything ready on the side. Let's try mixing it with this. Maybe it's better. It's very quiet. Let's see how loud this gets, like music-wise. So, now we're back. Okay, now we're like fully ready. How's everybody doing? Because I'm high on energy. I just came home from work, basically, like half an hour ago. Bro, it's like, it was an awful day. Let's not talk about it. It was like way too long. Way too much stuff. So we're riding. I heard we are riding. So we are riding the good old Fleshwarps. By the way, congrats to Spain for winning the World Championship. Hey, I said it from the very get-go. EA is never wrong. Okay, so let us get into riding. I don't know why this one is really misshapen. It needs to be there. Okay, so as I said yesterday, I tried to do as much pre-riding as I could. I was just like thinking about stuff. There's a Fleshwarp are a very, very important part because we have like very two very big like two types of Fleshwarps in the setting. We have like the ones. I need to see if I need to like do a little bit of optimization. My desktop just turns off sometimes when I do knock on the desk. It just turns off and on. I don't know why. If the cable is not connected properly, but it seems to be that. It's always happening, and I feel like it's the connector. It's still happening. Every time I hit my table, it just turns off. As soon as the table gets like vibrations, it's weird. Anyways. Other than this, let's talk about stuff. So, we start off by talking about the Fleshwarps, right? We have like two stages of Fleshwarps. The Fleshwarps were like, in the setting at least, were like written in one way where they are serving to the so-called changeling, and then they have a phase in the history where like the Fleshwarps are free agents and are mutated people, right? So there's like 2 big stages to them. So let's start with this. So how I thought about the Fleshwarps. Let's start with the pre-stuff, right? The war with the halflings. So this is like the very first stage of the Fleshwarps. And we should make this actually like one of the bigger ones. So without going into like too much detail right now, the war with the halflings. How it started and how it like developed was that they were born from the changeling, a god that died a long time ago, rumored to be the old patron deity of the Nagaji. And then like we should I think we should like add this and the changeling nested within the Earth's within Eziko, sorry. Eziko's core. And while it rested in the core, what happened was it fed on Aether seeping into the world, growing in power and size. So basically what it does, it just sits there, it camps, it waits, right? And then we go into the Aether of the gods seeps more and more into the material, bringing the mutating the dangerous Aether particles that cause radiation well, mutation, right? Mutation and other ailments with it. And now we go to like we switch these. Most creatures affected, mostly monsters that were mostly monsters were mutated by Aether exposure, making them thralls of the changeling, and enabled them to receive the changeling's commands. Enable them to hear and obey the changeling's commands. They were ordered They were ordered to capture and turn more and more living beings to expand the changelings' reach. On their century-long quest to so basically I imagine to like go around go around and just capture monsters, right? Build up an army. But mutation takes a few days to like actually take effect. So it just takes longer and longer and longer, right? But yeah, the century-long quest to turn the populace of Aziko into servants of the changeling. They encountered the halflings, territorial insectoids, with extraordinary skills in technology and fortification. So basically what they do is like they're like very they encounter the halflings at this point at some point, turning them would ole 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 Espanol. How do you say this? 1 second. Translate. Spanish. And then German. Give me 1 second. I think if I do it very badly in Spanish, how are you today, my fellow champion? How are you today? I'm doing fine. How are you doing today? It is felicidades por el campeonato mundial, which would be herzlichen Glückwunsch zur Weltmeisterschaft, apparently, according to Google. And then you have like les patearon el culo a los argentinos, which should be, ihr habt den Argentinern in den Arsch getreten. And then that I know like from the heart, by the way. Das ist gut is eso es bueno, right? Eso es bueno. Eso es bueno. Ay, ay, ay. Anyways, turning them would become war spanning multiple centuries. turning into... You were partying all night. Nice. I was like working today, and I just came basically home. Well, it's like heading towards an hour ago, but yeah. But I was up until like after the match was over because I wanted to know how it ends. If they actually do the thing where they try to, like, I'm sorry to say, but they were so hard trying to give like Argentina the chance to like get a comeback. It was so obvious. It was disgusting, dude. You have like the first 9 minutes after the 90. Imagine if like 10% of the match on top of that, and that sounds much. And then they go around and like after in the second, like when they expanded the time to like the 120, right? They did that again with 5 minutes, dude. 5 minutes for what? Because the Argentinians were like sad losers. Sorry to say that, but like I need to talk about this. Like punching people and shit, dude. Very weak, very very weak. And then like everything around this, like the halftime show, the ceremony with like Trump and stuff like that. Oh, it's so sad. But yeah. Anyways, I'm happy that Spain won. It was deservedly so. If you remember, since the very start of the World Championship, of the World Cup, I said Spain would win. I 100% said Spain would win this because I bet money on Spain, actually. And I knew that Spain would win because Electronic Arts does like the prediction, and they never are wrong because they are like very good at simulating this. Yeah. Messi cried after this, right? And like he like let's be real. If Messi was not on the team, they would have like lost way earlier. Messi carried the fucking team. Though the goalie, the goalkeeper, he was like a monster yesterday. But let's not get like too deep into football. Because like this was crazy how like 22 attacks on the goal and every fucking ball misses, dude, or like gets like God or whatever. It's like nuts. But anyway, let's go back to the Fleshwarps. So and then spanning turning into an unseen and undocumented war of attrition. Did I have to start a war of attrition? Yeah, everyone was against Argentina at the end, right? It's like crazy. I think there were like a few people, like even like some of my colleagues were against Spain because Spain had like also 1 or 2 moments that were not like clean, but that happens during every World Cup, dude. Like if we like would disqualify every team that like did like where like a mistake was not counted or anything else, then like nobody would have been like world champion, right? But like most of the world unite against Argentina. Yeah, that is the most important win. The Changeling. Let's go back to the Changeling. The Changeling predicted that this course of action would guide the halflings towards change these towards self-destruction or towards losing the war in the long run. Evolutionary dead end? I mean, that would be like one of the things, right? These are like the main notes I did for the War of the Halflings. I have to say I could not get to these because I worked so long today that I did not have time to prep the last 2 points. But this is like what I think the thing. I feel like the Changelings endgame is everybody but the Fleshwarp unable to reproduce naturally. I mean, that is like, that would be like kind of interesting, right? Like, which also is like interesting if you consider the humans, that they are basically overwriting genetics over time. That it's like that people could say, well, this is like similar, but they would not know, right? Because they are, the changeling is the enemy, at least for the most part. But yeah, I think this is like the war against the halflings, right? Like, they were born from the changeling by like corrupting monstrosities or monsters first, and then like they just abducted people or tried to abduct people to like basically mutate as well. And then they were like they met the halflings, and those just like stopped them in their tracks, like fully, because the halflings were just territorial shitbags. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think so as well. Like the aboleths just like chilling near the Aether and just saying, well, it enhances my powers, but like by like overcharging on the stuff and not realizing that they get like mind controlled slowly. Mostly the monstrosities of the lands below surface. And I think this is like the first part of this, right? Like for the war with the halflings, they just like beat the shit out of each other for the next few centuries. We don't have really like a start date, but it would be probably very, very late in the world history, right? It would be like not from the get-go. I think the halflings need to get like all the tech evolution, and then they start popping up. At least in like the scale that the halflings see them as a threat. And not like, oh, there's like a mutated monster down there. It's not kill them with fire, it's kill them with like carpet bombing these idiots. And then we go with then we go with the Heritage War. And during the Heritage War, the Changeling does not do jack shit, right? It's like keeping itself basically out of the war for the most part. Like, they are just beating the shit out of the halflings and the halflings out of them. And then, like, the halflings just, like... Yeah. Because, like, the halflings is just, like... the halflings are just out-teching them, right? They are just so further down the tech tree. They have like guns and shit, and do like fortifications. And the changeling is just like, oh, I'm a natural biomass. Let's try to like mutate other people slowly, right? And then of course, the numbers did not matter to the halfling fortifications. We will expand on this like a little bit, because the war with the halflings was still ongoing. It's like this Dennis thing. Halfling technology was too advanced for the Fleshwarp to make any reasonable progress. They instead turned to those who entered the lands below. I don't know if have we ever like called the Underdark something else? I think we did, but I don't remember. Everyone's below the surface as refugees and refugees, full stop. Because like, of course people would flee from like the Heritage War, right? And they just like see this as like food. And they did everything in their power to appease the changeling, helping it heal and digest more aether. The Fleshwarps let's see. We did it fairly close or after the Heritage War. 1 second. There they are. We said in the following centuries, it became apparent that primal magic was not the forte. They turned into the worship of the dead god instead, and some Nagashi evolved the knack for society. This was a sign that a great devour was coming from a state of death. Shortly before the Aetherflood, basically in the centuries after the Heritage War. So the Nagashi at this point of the Fleshwarps do not know that the changeling is there, right? of fiery death. Yeah. Why are you asking? Because of the Nagashi. Do you want to include them a little bit more into this? I mean, they are a little bit like included in this, right? You mean you mean like where they just like meet or what? Wait, symposium. Oh yeah, symposium. Yeah. I was like, what are you? What do you mean? And then like, oh yeah, symposium. And so far we only have the huh. I mean, with the Nagashi, right? We have them here. And then like when it goes to the Aetherflood, right? This is like when they realize the god happens. Skirmishes, halfling scouts, and trigger some sort of urgency. I think this is where they meet the changeling, right? I think let's think. We could make one of the underground people a little bit more involved, right? Do the Fleshwarps try to shake the halfling? The question is, just thinking, do we want to? I mean, the halflings go the halflings into war on two fronts, with the Nagashi instead of the orcs at first. I think this is a nice tie-in actually to the where are my boys? Where are the underground pyramids? Heritage War, blah 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 blah. Old man thinking, yes. Halflings. There. We have like in before the Heritage War, we have that already, right? So we could put this into the pre-Heritage War stuff. Where yeah, exactly. Because we have like that the fortress were built, and this like put them on the maps for the halflings, and then in reality it was the Fleshwarp. Fleshwarp. Then to shake the full attention of the halflings on the Fleshwarp. Anyway, when are you gonna join Streamer University? Streamer University? Never, dude. I have studied already. I'm done. I'm done with like my school and shit. I think I will not do another thing on top of this, and if so, I would just like do something on top of my work field. Streamer University sounds kind of cringe. take the full attention of the halflings on the Fleshwarp. The changeling decided to guide its people towards the Nagaji escape tunnels in the hopes of starting a conflict on two fronts. That is a very good question. I mean, we have made the the changeling as a god, right? We made it basically pretty chaotic evil, right? I think the changeling... I think the changeling would not, like... The changeling would feel disappointment, right? Like, as a devourer, it would be proud that they would still hold on to the faith, but as a changeling, when it gets revived, that is like, oh yeah, things need to evolve. Remember, we want to have like achieve ends with contradictory methods. So it would be like, we need to always remember this with the changeling. He has like contradictory shit. So he would try to ensure the survival by goading the Nagaji into another conflict, right? Yeah, true. Understood. The changelings' motives of trying to evolve the Nagaji through extinction. This is like one of the reasons why the changeling would like send waves of like minions at the halflings even though they die, right? It seems like a life of this, like a life in the death, right? Basically, have everyone die and still be like, oh yeah, everyone died. This is something good. I mean, yeah, that is also true. It learns from death, right? But yeah, let's see. Now we go like, again, we go a little bit more into heritage war, I think. I think we have to be really careful not to turn the changing into the Tyranids. Yeah, that is also true. Yeah, because if you say, yeah, they have like millions of people that they just send in over and over again, then like, yeah, it becomes Tyranid war, right? Now does it not matter to the halfling corridor of fiery death? Though through defeat, victory may be achieved. There was always a plan to attack other targets to keep the original design of the changeling on course. I think like during the Aetherflood, during the Heritage War, not much happens because nobody like fucks around with these guys. We've never mentioned the Fleshwarps except for the halflings. But I think what they do is just like drag like some like lone entities into the Underdark basically and mutate them just so they have like a few more people. I don't think that the Fleshwarps are that many. I think the changeling would go quantity over quality. No, quality over quantity. So yeah, that's the right order. Against the halflings, who could we kill? Damn, you actually saw that? You saw me thinking if we just murked the Anadi here? I think this is the most natural instead of like putting another one out of the Aether, because I feel like the problem with like the others is like they're so specific to Golarion, right? Like most of them. Though it would be funny to have like just like pulling a funny guy and just say, hey, we picked the Jotunborn. The cave giants. Yeah, I think we murked the Nadi here. Yes, that is not a bad idea. During one incident, the Anadi spider people specialized in hunting were driven out of their cavernous homes by the orcs, getting trapped between both sides of the halfling Changeling conflict. Those who did not die by the halflings were assimilated or consumed by the changeling. Destroying their driving their entire species to extinction. I like that we killed the Anadi. Now they have a purpose. I can live with that. Because if you want to, actually, you could theoretically say you can revive them at some point, but no, we're not doing that. This would be like a campaign theme, right? Oh yeah, we're trying to revive the Nadi. We found like this shell of an old thing. This is a campaign plot. Help us make spider babies again, but no. It's also kind of like funny how the elves were so short-lived, focus on like reviving the dead. I like that, like the extinct, right? Because they know like how much is on the line. They understand the peril. Yeah, I think the lizards and the cats just hate each other. You know what is funny to me? I thought about this yesterday after we finished stream. And when we finished, I lay down in bed and thought, bro, we have cat girls in our, like actual cat girls in our setting. So, go on. Okay. So we have elves. And if an elf bangs one of these guys, right? Where are they? The rare ones. One of these guys. And the humans and, the humans slowly override genetic code, right? They become, like, second gen is like a half human. And third, like, half human and human make human again. But the half human would be like a mix of the two, right? So human elf hybrid, in theory, would look like a Mikote, right? Like a Final Fantasy XIV Mikote. Wouldn't it? Because it would keep the cat ears probably. And like some of the feline features, but like more human, right? That's how I at least imagine to half human hybrid to look like. So we would have a cat girls, which is weird. I like the idea of sphinxes. That is like kind of funny as well. I was just thinking, if the human outbreeds the other species all the time, then we have also pig girls, by the way. Just generally unappealing. Yeah. like if we go, like we need to talk about half humans. Yeah, we agreed on that. That is true. Kirby. But she will never meet a Kermit because of Tripke are fucking dead. But like, I find it so funny that like I accidentally like I just realized that yesterday evening, like, oh my god, my setting is like every weep's wet dream. If we go with that one, we need to talk about half humans at some point. Because that is like very important actually. Because we, with all the stuff we did, and humans being like the genetic parasite they are in this setting. I know we're talking about Fleshwarps, but quickly. With how they are, how long does a half-elf live? Do they live the 50 years of an elf and die from vampirism? Or do they live as long as a human, or is it in between? Do they get vampirism? That is also very true, yes. Final Fantasy does this, right? Where like the mother just determines like, oh, this is what you are now. But yeah, this is not a problem for today. But I was just thinking. Yeah, that is kind of funny. And same for the age. Oh, okay, that is not bad. Wait a second. Let me note this down here. Human hybrids. Genetically human appearance of what the mother is. Yeah. Same for the age. So they would be like human age, right? But look like elves, or are they like what do you mean with same for the age? Like the mother's genetics? So if the mother is an elf, they live to 50, but if it's an orc, for example, they live to like whatever the orcs become as like the max age. Because I'd say so, yeah, okay. Okay. Just to keep it consistent, basically human-based have something human first and vice versa. Which, like, over time would make them more human, right? Because I like the idea that human DNA is just, like, a fucking invasive, like, basically, like, some see it as a sickness, right? Like, Jesus Christ, your dad is a human. You're, like, a human now. I like the idea that, like, humans are, like, human-X relationships are, like, very frowned upon by some. Because the human just drives them out. Like, similar... This, like, by the way, what I hate about the fucking Asari in Mass Effect. Nobody ever mentions that they're, like, fucking parasites. In a world where Krogans still have the genophage, they will drive out all of like every other species. Yeah, I know, but like in general, because they can like reproduce like with everything, right? They do like the mental reproduction, which is still kind of weird that it just like reads the genetic code and produces a baby. But like basically like it's like super weird that nobody like talks about very much in detail, like, oh, the Asari are just like basically like infiltrating all civilizations. Because yeah, of course there will be like planets that are like still human, right? But most of the galactic population by default in like a connected galaxy will start becoming Asari over time. Because they also seem to be like very attractive to all races, right? Krogans, and stuff like that, which is why the theory started with like the one stripper scene in Mass Effect 3, 2, where like everyone saw like something else in the face of the Asari that apparently was like attractive to their collective species. Turians, even Solarians were like known to be like very asexual, except for like reproduction purposes because it's logical. They're like the Vulcans, right? But like it's like kind of interesting that like to actually address this and like say, oh yeah, everyone else fucking hates them. Right, yeah, I think, yeah, it's there. Right, there's the bachelor party. But it's like, we need to play Mass Effect, dude. I want to do like one run on the channel and do like one very weird run. I don't want to do like, oh, this is a Shepherd, but he's a orcs, only some more orcs, and keep the tendency of multiple pregnancies going. Being a woman of a smaller species must have sucked during Azuko's dark ages. Yeah. I think many people just died after the pregnancies and it did not matter to the orcs because, well, doesn't, right? For the rest of the heritage, it's kind of crazy. Can we talk about it? I feel like I was sitting today in like my break. I needed to do it like quite later because of work stuff. But like I was sitting there and like doing like the keywords, and I was like, it's kind of crazy how we like after like the 14, or this is stream 15, right? So we're like roundabout, if every stream was like 3 hours of writing, which they tend to be usually longer, but the stream yesterday like put it down a notch. Then we like actually talk about the setting like very, very cohesively, and it's like making me a little bit giddy. I'm very happy. Then we like say, oh, this shit is like doing this during the Dark Age, right? You can like basically spawn in new like theoretical thoughts, and those are like can become very easily canon. I think like talking about the setting is like very fun now because it's not just like, oh, there's like two concepts, but like everyone is interacting. And we did like a very good job of like everyone being connected somewhat to everyone else in some way. Not like in a way where like it's like the Mos Eisley Cantina of writing, where like everyone randomly drops into the small location, but like globally speaking, everyone has like an agenda, interacted with someone else during like certain stages, and that shaped them to something else. But yeah, getting back to Heritage War, I need to stop hitting my desk because my monitor. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not so 100% sure if we do this setting on Fridays. Not because like I want to do it, because I'm thinking I want to go back to like, okay, both campaigns play on the same setting, because the world building just like what I've now seen both sides, right? Having everything play on like different worlds is like a bitch to write, because I need to like have like two separate mindsets on like how to write the setting, where like Fridays is very like much of the monster lore is very close to what it is in Pathfinder 2nd edition. On Saturdays it's very different already, and I want to put everyone together on one planet again, but like so that it's like non-intrusive at all, right? Which is why the setting is such a hodgepodge, because I just want them to like be like different people. Which is like, I think ending the Friday setting that we have after the campaign, if the campaign is a success, is a very natural way of letting that world go. instead of like going further into it. I feel like if we go further into it, we get to like all the side continents, and yes, that would be interesting in some way, but I don't know if I want to tell those stories at the moment. Which is why I keep like the setting. Of course, I keep the settings somewhere like stashed, right? But like, I don't know how important it is to like play and oh yeah, the elves are doing this on this continent, or the automatons are on Space Australia. It's like, I don't know. I think the most important shit plays out on like the continent you are playing on, and this is like a very natural like progression of the story in some case. I was gonna say, let me know when you're planning to nuke the campaign, so I won't bother replanning my char, and so I won't bother writing a new background once the NATO inevitably passes. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, it would be like, I think with like the second wave of heroes doing the cleanup duty that the first wave was not able to because they died. It's a very natural progression to end it there, and like the interaction with the first setting, the small tidbits where it's like, oh yeah, the worlds were interconnected and they know each other, and like start anew on this. And if we like see how this works out, right? Because I want to play a little bit of like, I want to do like a little bit of something refreshing again, and that would be like, this is like something I'm thinking about. We have like what, 2 years to go still on the Friday campaign, because we are like in session 30. We play very frequent, so like 25 sessions a year. So yeah, I can see like getting to session 80, I feel like. Depending on like how long we take. Depending on like what story beats we take. If like, of course, the group dies, then I'm like a little bit in a pickle, to be honest. Because then I don't know what to do. Like I'm not like pulling my punches, but like I'm still dreading a very, very, very bad fight gone wrong, Rod. Yeah, that is like something I'm dreading right now, dude. This was like something that was like, it's okay that you tested it out. I gave you that item to test it out. But like marking basically everyone on the fucking map. And again, it is known that like the ping from one goes to the ping from the other. They know where you are around, like they know roundabout where you are. And now everyone knowing you're like there is like a very bad ping, especially after, hey, look, here's a selfie. Which is like, oh god. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think so, yeah. That fits very well. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just like thinking, right, with the NPCs, it's like, it's fine. I gave you the option, you did it, it's fine. But like, oh, hi Yuruko. But like again, we did it is a very, very hard pill to swallow to say, okay, now you've like alerted everyone to your location. They won't do everything. Like most of them were like fine with you like calling them basically, but it's like getting them all there after they made a pact to never see each other again and saying shit is going down is a very, very, very risky thing. But let's not go too much into Friday talk. We should actually like if we get like a few people more into the streams, which at the moment does not look like it. Yeah. Just plant more trees. Everything's fine. Let's go. Let's go. Sorry, we derailed absolutely right now. For the rest of the Heritage War, right? That's where we for the rest of the Heritage War, the Fleshwarp kept the actions in the dark, trying to capture those who were unaware of them. Rumors spread, but the conflict at hand was more important. Okay, and then we go to Aetherflood, right? The Aetherflood. Let's start. Years before the Aetherflood, the Fleshwarp were told to prepare for unforeseen consequences. You are imagining the changing as much more. Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. I don't want to talk. Let him talk too much. I was like, the problem is when we wrote the changeling, I'm like always on the I imagine him making do stuff as opposed to holding a dialogue. Yeah, that's true. I was like thinking about this. I mean, yeah, it's like influencing you without like talking to you, right? Yeah. I was going way too much into like, oh, it talks, right? But like the fleshling, the changeling, oh, Jesus Christ, the changeling, like we define it as, okay, it changes you, it gives you like orders, but you don't realize it does orders, right? Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, it's still like sitting in the aether, not doing anything, just like trying to regain strength from whatever happened to it before it got dumped into the core. Let's rewrite this. The halflings became more and more hasty in their actions. Some outposts well, were they abandoned? No, but were left with subpar defenses. While the changeling Do we say it became more active? Does it become more active at the before the Aetherflood? No. I think the Fleshwarps should be the ones to like, oh wait, what are they doing? They're like they're like abandoning their outposts. They're like doing other shit. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. To stir and its manipulations became more direct. The Fleshwarp knew is instinctively, Jesus Christ, knew instinctively that something was happening on a grand scale and prepared for full-on war. When the hand hit an aether vein. Dude, how can I not know? Oh my god. Give me 1 second. Okay. The underground Aether, the birthplace of the Fleshwarp, reacted violently. Many of the caves they inhabited. Many of the caves they inhabited were flooded, and how the Fleshwarp actually survived it relatively intact, right? Yeah, I think so that the Fleshwarp like survived this unattacked, right? But to their superior genetic modifications, our superior bodies, yeah, they survived the flood and its side effects relatively intact. Their god, however, started to violently lash out, and I think at this point, and this ripple effect made the Fleshwarps turned the Fleshwarps bloodthirsty, right? Since the halflings did not survive the Aetherflood, there was no one standing between the Fleshwarp and the struggling survivors on the surface. And then a mass invasion was planned, and everyone and everything that could be recruited was. So I want to go into like, okay, they go like full, okay, we don't care what gets recruited, we don't care who gets mutated, we just pick them, dunk them near the Aether, and hope they just turn out better, right? Did we have the changeling talk at some other point? I think only here, right? This is like this, and the other one would be this, right? Okay. Because, like, I think here we don't have a chatty anymore, right? We have hardening technology was too advanced. They did everything in their power to appease the changeling, helping it heal and digest more Aether. This is fine. It doesn't talk. Numbers did not matter to the halfling fortifications. They die. They, like, try to follow the original design. During the incident, they capture the Anadi. Nobody talks. For the rest of the Heritage War, they try to, like, they do stealth and just, like, assimilate people or, like, eat them. And then we go to War of Unity. Hey! So, yeah, I think so as well. I like it. I like it natural. So, like, you need to stop me when I go too much into Cthulhu, like, where it's like, oh yeah, it's pulling the strings and has like a grand goal in 1,000 years. I know it's like the only thing it knows, it's basically a dead god. It revived, and now it's just like trying to evolve everyone into Fleshwarps. That's like the only thing. It does not want to devour anymore. Like, from eating people to like making them subjects in a weird, messed up way. Like perfecting evolution. So, War of Unity. That starts very easily. On one day, Fleshwarp felt the urge to undertake a full-scale assault on the surface. Then we have the factions. Yeah, we do this a little bit better. I feel like for natural, the problem is if we go with natural threat, right? Nature-based entity. Would they take guns? Can we imagine them taking guns? I imagine them later on taking guns when they like, again, we are like in the phase where they're like still follow like 100% dedicated to the changeling, knowing they're dedicated to the changeling. Again, later on they don't know it anymore, but we get to that in just a few. I think they have an intelligence, right? I imagine them a little bit, not much, but a little bit like the super mutants of Fallout, where they are like smart actually, or they don't lose like their intelligence. They just get hive-minded into the emotions and beats of like this underground entity by getting mangled up, basically. By having like 3 faces on their body, right? Yeah, right. Because like everything is like biomutation and just like growing, and I feel like their like brain capacity also increases. Like brain mass becomes denser, and that makes it also like easier to get like basically like hive-minded. But the further they are away from the changeling, the smarter they get. Let's do it like this. Yeah. The Fleshwarp. Okay. I'm excited to hear them actually. The Fleshwarp surprise tools and all that. Yeah, yeah, I get that. The Fleshwarp definitely took over the fortresses of the halflings that were salvageable. And then like they cannot use, remember that they cannot use the weapons. I just realized that that's why we're saying this. They could not use the weaponry, however, because they lacked the halflings' inherent connection to the. And now I need to relearn what the word was. This is like something I need to learn. We need to learn so much vocabulary. At least I need to. Where are they? Rightfully lost, and then halflings. Thought weft. Thank you. So basically they take over the fortifications, but they cannot do more with it, right? Because they just cannot use the weapons. On one day, the Fleshwarp felt the urge to undertake a full-scale assault on the surface. Many of those, or like most of those who left the underground felt an increase in agency and intelligence while losing or like while their mutations were reduced. I think that like we keep the influence like a little bit more like under the table, right? We keep it like a little bit under the radar. Most of those who left the underground felt an increase in agency and intelligence. So basically they realize now what they are, right? That they're like basically like tumor monsters. Made conventional tactics. No, most of them have never fought the Fleshwarps, so they are not conventional tactics. Because the halflings keep it under the rug, right? They're like definitely like not talking about those. They have that problem because we always said like the halflings would never talk about this, so they don't appear weak. But that things would work out. The change. I always say the changelings. The Fleshwarps would face the combined, not combined, combined forces of the survivors, now called the Unity. Since oh god, the music's loud. Sorry. Oh my god, Jesus Christ, stop. Okay. Without the without the knowledge of these beings, the conflict was it basically another war of attrition? They don't know who they're fighting. This is like funny because nobody knows who they're. It's like a very interesting conflict, right? Usually like when you have a war with someone, it's like someone you know, but nobody knows what the fuck everyone is doing. Like imagine being like a Fleshwarp, right? Yeah, nobody is in any position to fight a war of attrition. That is true. Like, yeah, the Fleshwarps who are running to the surface, right? And there's like this hodgepodge of like fucking people who had like all lived on Aziko for like thousands of years, and they never met them because they were like stopped at the first hurdle, which is playing Assault on hard mode. And so they were like literally information blocked. It like with the exception for the like stray refugee who's like fleeing from the Heritage War, right? So like we're talking about like, oh, that there's like an elf running into the Underdark and gets eaten, and that's it, right? But like this elf does not know anything about like what the gnomes are doing, or what like everyone else in the Orcish Empire is doing. And like for the other side, it's like this weird hodgepodge of like mutated beings that all of a sudden get smarter the closer they are to like the battlefield, and who are like trying to like desperately take over land and try to like basically like pin people down and try to force mutate them, right? Just to like take them over. It's like kind of interesting. I find it very, very interesting as a conflict, because like it's like a zero intel conflict, which is very rare, right? With basically zero intel. Do we have another good? We have another good playlist that I can play. Give me 1 second. Give me music. Give me a typical like synthwave. Yeah. Okay. Except for small scavengers, most this is wrong. Okay. When the Fleshwarp started to gain ground over time, the forces of the Unity were relying on a species called orcs, who they had a bad relationship with. These orcs were experts in medicine and blood manipulation. Well, not manipulation, right? They were like, I don't know. Is there like a field of like blood science? Probably something with sanguine, right? In scientific and medical terminology, blood as a whole fluid tissue does not have a universal blah 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 blah. It's actually called blood science because it's like hematology and clinical biochemistry. Well, I think what we established is like they know their bloodlines, but I think the orcs, we basically said that they're like very good at like clearing their blood of impurities, right? So I wanted to take a fancy word because why many orc sorcerers chose the fire, blah blah blah. Rediscover remedies based on old tales of clearing orc blood of defilement. This is like why I'm like thinking about this, what the word is. Because it's like clearing, they cleared blood of defilement. And I wanted to go like the medicine route. Do orcs find out they are a universal donor and that their blood is able to clear aether-based toxins? I'm thinking about this. Let me think. What would this imply? This would imply that many of the things the orcs can do with their blood are like making people survive the toxins, right? From like the aether particles in the air. Yeah. And ancient orcish rituals that could be adapted to cleanse the blood from toxins and impurities. This was a turning point in the conflicts. Orcish captives were known to be turned easily, but the confronting forces supported by orcs would turn out to be rather difficult. So basically, like we said the orc, because the blood of them is malleable and it like is very adaptive, that they turn very easily, right? This is why I'm like why I was thinking, because then we need to rewrite some of the orc stuff. Because the orcs, we wrote them, at least for the of the community, we wrote them in a way where the orcs are the ones that get turned the easiest, but they also know the remedies, right? So it would be like this, which is why I do like the idea that they take the blood of orcs. But I think they would take the blood of orcs as a material for healing instead of like being like, oh, they're universal donors and that helps them, right? I think like there's like some occult alchemist shit going on. We kill the last sentences is after a year of bloody conflict. I think the average was just a year, right? I need to see this. I think it's rather short. It's a year or two. Not Heritage War, War of Unity, sorry. Here. Three years. No. 2 years, sorry, 2 years. I cannot count. 3 minus 1 is 2, I think. After 2 years of bloody conflict. The Fleshwarp were driven back into the underground while they're, I think that is the point. The changeling was basically writhing in pain for like 2 years, and then they get to the point where it's like calming the fuck down, and this makes the Fleshwarp also fall back at some point, right? Because they like don't have this like psychic impulse to just charge out. They become more like they just like go back a step, right? While their demeanors changed from aggression towards their old patient and calm. Okay. And then we have the Dark Age, where everyone is just rebuilding. What are the Fleshwarps doing? Because now we get to the switch between the Fleshwarps, who are just like changeling people who are like still exist. They're like sitting in the underground, right? They're like chilling there and mutating. But we have implied that there's like a lot of like people who get experimented on and are also like prisoners. Dude, the music. Why is it getting louder and louder? What is happening? Hey there. Very sorry about the loud music. This is where we are free now, where I have no notes, so I'm taking everything I can. I'm thinking, just throwing it out there, the forces of the changeling retreat further underground. Awaiting a new age of prosperity for them. Some, no, many. The soldiers I love how you call it the down under. I was thinking about this a bit. If we do this, I mean, we could do this. Oh, Jesus. The one thing I'm asking in general, the down under dark. The idea would be, okay, either they retreat and they do something there, they plan something there, we keep it ominous. And then, like, if you are... I'm thinking about, like, there's, like... How many types of Fleshwarps are there in Pathfinder? I think there's, like, 3, right? Let's see. Path Builder. Give me that. Give me like 1 second. New character. Yes, I don't care. Fleshwarp. And then just do cloud storage save. What heritage do we have? The Cataphract Fleshwarp. Your battle skeleton is laced with additional cartilage and muscle to help bear armor across the vast. Okay. Created Fleshwarp. That is something we go into later. Discarded Fleshwarp. Mutated Fleshwarp. Shape-wrought Fleshwarp. Victim of Fleshwarping. You likely bear loose flesh, bony spurs, and features of inhuman creatures, okay? The technological one, the transformation is due to manipulation by advanced technology. And then we have the search-wise, who the undulations of your body, cilia, are hyper-tuned and wellspring of magic. So, we have like a lot of Fleshwarps. I think we should definitely have one faction who is like, okay, we accidentally fled from the Chechik's influence, right? Then we should have like some of them who are like still down there. Then we have some that are like actually like produced in the hopes of like making super soldiers. I feel like that is like something we should absolutely implement. And then we have those who are like in the cults and just like say, oh yeah, Fleshwarping is like something very cool. Yeah, I think so, that they are like, are the Nagashi doing that with the technology warping? I think so, right? Or do we have another player that is like doing this, like for example in Haven or something like that? There's like a lot of options where building the super soldier would be like a thing, right? Captured. Yeah, there's like I think that the Fleshwarp cults were like, yeah, this is like the next step of evolution. Is like one of the major religions. I think it's not an official religion. It's like Dan as a cult, but like it's very, very, very prominent. Where like people visit the surface to just get like the arm mutated, which is like people want to become Fleshwarps, like many people. Main soldiers were captured. Interrogated or experimented on. Then interrogated. Or experimented on. I should scroll down so you don't need to look down all the time. Okay. Then interrogated or experimented on. gave the as the Cohens an understanding for how the process of flesh warping works, and also who and what the flesh warp actually were. I think this is like the point where like everyone gets an understanding, and like that they like where like the scientists and like of course the people who interrogate them are like, okay, what the fuck are you? And these beings become so intelligent that they just like tell them about the bliss of like mutation and like heightened senses and shit like this. And like when like people get heightened senses, the Colo are just like, oh wait, what? I think like the Colo are just like one of the first to like the city Colo specifically. We're like, oh wait, what? The heightened senses I hear a higher being existence. This is like interesting. And then like the like everyone gets like a little bit interested, and then the first few people start doing it, and it's a chain reaction, right? Yeah, snorting Aether to get like a bigger brain and brighter, like see the lights brighter and smell the letters clearer. Dude, that would be crazy. I think that's where the where it's like starting, right? This. Well, is it like? It's like basically like this information. Once out, caught. Yeah, I want to get there where it's like on the surface there's like leper colonies, because I like that very much. I'm still thinking about the idea of one with a scarcity of gunpowder. But yeah, this information caught the interest of civilians and scientists. Which people? The leper colony people? Because I would agree with that. Yeah. I would agree with that. One's out, caught the interest of civilians and scientists. Both with an interest of uncovering the truth behind the mutation. Exposed themselves and others to Aether. This made those who survived mutated. No, this mutated those who survived. Mutated those who survived. And while some claimed that except for the pain of mutation itself, it felt great to evolve into something greater. Some cities they killed those who tried to dabble in these dangerous practices on site. I think some just like go full exterminate these idiots. Do they want to be Nurgle people? Let them be that in hell. Like, send them to Nahul where they belong, right? Saint Amatus will be happy when they get there. After some time passed, and knowledge about the mutated spread further, many cities started to employ these new Fleshwarps. They were able to withstand Aether well, do we still call it Aether radiation? I think so, right, at the moment. Or they withstand the effects of Aether, right? Yeah. Effects of Aether for longer before they would go feral. Through overexposure, while also being able to push further into old mine shafts without other Fleshwarps attacking than anyone else, or anyone unmutated. I think this is like the start of the colonies, right? When the metropolises were raised off the ground. Yeah. Those who were barely mutated would get included in the evacuation efforts are those with more severe mutations were left to fend for themselves. Those who did survive formed small villages on the planet's surface, where those who would be later banished from the cities would settle in. And then we go into like the modern times, right? Like the last 200 years, where it's like, okay, this is like they start building their villages, and now we get to like your idea, especially. During modern times, most Fleshwarps oh yeah. I'm thinking about that. Like now that you mention it, yeah, this fits very well. During modern times, most Fleshwarps become mutated by their own will. Most of those who did are part of the Changeling cult, a group of a religion of obsessed biomancers and those who strive for evolution, for forced evolution. And the benefits that come with it. I think this is like a very quick write-up of like what the guys do. Like they're just like exposing themselves and are part of the cult, and the cult is doing like forced evolution, and there's biomans. And I think that's like as like condensed as we get. There are those, however, who mutate too much for the cities to accommodate for them. They are sent to the planet's surface, to Eziko's surface. Eziko's surface to work undesirable jobs tailored for them in return for housing in bad city districts. A modicum of safety, yeah, and a modicum of safety is like better. those who are I don't know, coming to terms with their lives tend to settle in the Fleshwarp. Do we say communes? That they're communes? They live the best life they can among those who are just like them. Yeah, this is very cool. I think that they are like actually this is a very, very cool line. Just like copy paste this, because like this is like the idea that they can reintegrate is very, very nice. In the city of we said the our Nagashi did that, right? So it would be Remedy and not Garden, right? No, Garden. Remedy was Lizard Folk. In the metropolis of Garden have been secret cabals of the old Nagashi elite who dream of reviving the connection to their dead god. Those with know who? What do you mean with know who? No, there have been. No, there have been. No, who? Oh yeah. Okay. I did not understand. Sorry. I was like, no. I know. Chat messages are not like the best. Yeah, it's a nice mission statement. It's like funny that like that there's like I was like, why is he speaking Neanderthal speak? No who? No, there have been no who. It's like I was like a little bit like, huh? And then I was like, oh, now I get it. Secret Cabals on Nagashi, the dream of to the dead god. I think we should explain, sir, that they are like doing that they are trying to perfect or like that they're trying to build super soldiers, right? Out of like different people. They experiment on different Yeah, this is good. To this end, they are secretly experimenting on various citizens of Garden to breed the perfect soldier. You mean like where they like make them catatonic, or what do you mean? Nagashi are Shinra, soldiers are soldiers, and Aether is Mako. Oh, that's what you're implying. I like the idea. I will do like a little like reference here. Do we get the dwarves involved with the techno Fleshwarps, or do we say techno Fleshwarps, the ones that like do this through tech? Technological Fleshwarp. The transformation is due to the manipulation by advanced technology like that found in Numeria. Your emotions are dulled and hard to influence. When you roll a successful save throw against an emotion effect, you get a critical success instead. Do we do something like this with the dwarves, where they like, because I feel like with the yeah, I think so as well, right? Some dwarves also focus on biomancy in the hopes to fix the genetic weaknesses of their species to by creating Fleshwarps. And then the last one, these Fleshwarps have a yeah, I was also thinking that they're like these Fleshwarps have a weaker hive mind connection to their brethren, making them see things clearer for their own people. Others have copied the process to treat those with mental sicknesses. I think they like once they like find out, wait, this flesh warping dulls the senses. I think some people just send them, like, use this for the insane asylum. Just so we have the option, like, of other people, like, doing this type of flesh warp, right? If you want to be like, I don't know, an elven flesh warp that just got fucked up by this. I feel like this is like makes actually sense that it dulls their senses, and this dulling of senses like actually makes them see things clearer. And then we have the last ones, right? Last ones are those who are still loyal to the changeling to afford. Some of them wander out of their underground territories and relive the same clarity like those who did before. And then like this newfound freedom gave them the impression to follow their own path and venture out into the world. I think this is like basically what I want to say is there's like some who like still accidentally wander out, and all of a sudden you have like basically like you go from like, yeah, one check mind, we are just doing whatever the god tells us to, right? And then all of a sudden you have clarity, and they're like, well, maybe I should just head out a little bit further, right? And I know like last Friday session I told my players, yo, there's not very much follow, but this seems like the last part is like very like Vault Dweller like, but I want to keep it that way. I think like the flesh warps, there's like some who just wander out and are like, oh, I'm free now. Huh. Neat. Let's go there. But that would be the flesh warp, right? Or do we have like another idea still? I think this is a lot of stuff. We did very good work on this one. What? Nah. Oh, nah, no other stuff. I think the ideas here you provided were like very, very good. Like actually, it's like enough to say, okay, there's like two, like this is what I wanted, like basically, right? We have the dichotomy of like, we have the flesh warp who are like monsters. Then they like slowly integrated like intelligent beings more and more and more, and then like this war happens where the changeling is just like lashing out, and after it calmed down, they retreated, and of course the Ezikoans were like, okay, let them retreat. We pushed them back once, we can do it again. Let's focus on surviving and retaking what was once ours, right? Instead of like going underground for no reason and getting like just radiated and die. And then like they just move into like this like split society of like there's a flesh warp everywhere, but they're like not one people necessarily, except for those who like try to go under, like to live under the changeling. I like that they are like joining they live under the god, the changeling, who's apparently like the god of like evolving and biomutating, but only those who stick to him and stick to this ideal and don't move away from this get the benefits from evolution. Like this like contradictory thing again, like staying the way you are but evolving from that is very, very interesting. I think this like contradictory thing that we have going on with the changeling is very, very outworldy and very cool. So yeah, I like the ideas we had. And again, bringing in Mako poisoning from Final Fantasy VII, like actually the ability to like producing your own Sephiroth is not a bad idea at all. So where do we put them? I would actually say here, right? Would they be common? Yeah, big common, right? I think this is like very natural because there's like mutated people everywhere. I feel like especially if you have like societies on the surface that are like consisting of the banished people. I'm very proud of us, by the way. I'm like very, very proud of us. We did a lot of work. Like, it's been 15 streams, right? 15 of world building, and we did a lot of work, dude. Very much heavy lifting. Pat on the back for us. I personally for moving constructs and rats to uncommon, by the way. Okay. With rats, I am. That is true, yeah. I can agree with that for the time being. I would be reconsidering at some point maybe, but the Sokia one tiny island tribe that had most 200 years to reproduce. I agree with that. And we have this, I never thought about this because like usually you think like, oh, society's shit, right? And that makes many rats happen, but they're like still people. I always forget that. I know it's very easy to do that, and it's like very, very normal to think that, right? Because like you think rats and you think like, oh yeah, squalid, because that's our human perception of this. But rat people are not rats, right? They have like tendency like of rats. But like it's like saying, okay, all humans are like, I don't know, pissing on the floor and shitting in their own hands, throwing it at people, and try to thump their chest very hard. It's like, and eat only bananas. It's like, or like eat mainly like tree fruit, which is not true for most people. Some people, but not most. Amber Heard, for example. But yeah. Red folk families tend to be rather small. This is like the thing why I'm accepting this with like uncommon, where we send them, we banish them to the uncommon realm. I agree. We need to, however, like prop up common a little bit. I think. Well, do we need to prop them up? Is the question. No, actually not. I think with uncommon, I think the only thing I would like move from uncommon to common would be Strix. Because they have to be plenty if they live on the Sky Islands, and like many live outside of the city and some live in the cities, right? And I think for like a setting with like mainly like airborne, like with airborne cities and airborne ships and airborne stuff and airborne transportation, and then you go on the surface, having bird people be regular is something we should consider. Because it fits the setting very well. I think I put the Strix in common. They were like undisturbed for thousands of years in the skies because nobody could fuck with them. Yeah, I think I put the Atari or the Strix into this. Okay. So we have like 18 minutes of stream left. What do we do? Because I don't know if we should start writing something. Sort through my in pile. What do you mean by that? What do we do with by sort? You mean like actually like? Yeah, they should be rare. Vanara should be probably uncommon, because what I did with the Vanara, I did like 2 or 3 because most animals will immediately turn monsters instead of gaining intelligence. Yeah, I would agree. I think Vanara, I put them on Central Renar, the ice continent, with like trees in the south, with like forests in the south, because I thought, well, there could be mountains there, right? Like a giant wall, and they live there. And I was like thinking they're like survival people, but I'm not 100% doing, like, I want to give them Aether early, but I want to repeat like a little bit of the mindset of they do other shit because... Oh yeah, these guys, right? They're so cool. I like them. The snow monkeys, right? They're kind of cute. Funny monkeys. I think so. But yeah, I wrote them. I wanted to write them a little bit like, okay, they're doing... So for me, like, one of the worst things is like only stereotyping, but we have so little stereotypes that because I hate it when orcs are just warriors and dwarves are just smiths and elves are just like either wood people or like the best magicians out there and shit like this. Which is why I like our setting so much, because it's like very different, right? We're not doing a Tolkien-esque setting at all. The Vanara, I don't want to put them in the monk role, actually, but they are very good in their monk role. And I would love to put them in like a rivaling role later on in life, because they have like so many... I don't know if you read through Vanara feeds, but like many of them are like, oh yeah, when an enemy misses you with an attack, you can basically pickpocket them while dodging and shit like this. So I love them as like a rival species to the catfolk in terms of like going full on Solid Snake. And I would put them in rare, uncommon for the time being. Konrazu, rare, right? Or do we make the Konrazu a little bit more common? Are the Konrazu as often happening as Leshies? So how often is my meteorite getting sentience, right? Or do we just say there are rocks in general that gain sentience? Let's think. So I think they should be like the if in mana they're actually connected to the nature directly. I think they should be rare. Okay. Nice. Celebrate further, dude. Celebrate your World Cup victory. Congratulations again. Thank you. I have huge ball. No, I don't have huge ball. Doesn't matter. We can talk about that after 2 beer. Konrazu, yeah, put them in rare. The puppets. Where do we put puppets? I like the idea that they're like the giant kin of this setting. I like them. What do we do with puppets? How many items, how many like puppet items get sentience? I think the puppet, somebody must build them, yeah. I feel like they could go into in uncommon, but I'm like I'm not 100% about those. Yeah, that is true. So uncommon in Haven, right? Because I assume most likely that Haven is the main thing you go, like you would like, if we put this in a book, right? And say, okay, this is a setting book. The recommendation would be Haven, I think, right? Because it's like, okay, you have everything of the setting here, and you can go to the other cities, but like, don't start in like Necromancer City. And like, if this would be a Paizo published thing, this would be like, Haven would be the main city, and there would be an adventure thing in like one of the other two cities, and this would heavily like fit the theme of the city, right? One is like very like psychic and like cutthroaty, and the other one is like basically City of Thieves like, and the other one is like very much like Necromancer based, right? You know what I find so ridiculously funny, dude? Can we talk about this? We did like our stuff, right? We did like our writing and the necromancy stuff, and then we have like by the way, I wanted to use the Fleshwarp pictures, but I forgot. P2E necromancer icon. Iconic, sorry. Bro, the iconic for the necromancers is actually a lizard folk, which is funny to me actually, because we were like, we make them the necromancers, and apparently Paizo has like a little bit of that as well. But yeah, sorry, I'm drifting off again into like other topics, but it's like a very, very funny call that we did. Sprites, insectoids. What was the old iconic necromancer? Oh, I think this lady, right? I think I saw her on like, I have like Pathfinder pawns that have her. Is it a lady with a scythe? Usharak? Yeah. Or is it like, okay. Anyway, in the meantime, sprites. If sprites are insectoids, I still am not 100% sure if we do an insectoid. It's a pale lady with a spinal staff. Oh, that one. Okay. Pathfinder, necroman. I don't know why I wrote iconic there, but yeah. This lady here, right? I know her face as well. I don't know why, but she's very weird, yeah. Nictessa, okay. Anyways, let's before I need to go, let's saw the other people. Insectoids, sprite. I'm not 100% sure if we do insectoids again. But then again, we need to do insectoids, otherwise they are small humans, or we do small other things. But I don't want to have them be copies of one another. That's also what I hate about fantasy. It's like always like human but different. And then like Bethesda comes around the corner and says, hey, here's Elder Scrolls. Everyone is an elf instead. Should we unban dragonettes? We banned dragonettes because they were like so weird. But I think sprites, if they're like... Okay. Then I would make them common, right? I don't want to randomly kill off the dragonets. I think if we take dragonets, like I'm willing to have dragonets, but you know what I want to do with the dragonets actually? Just think about it. No, we can, but we can make them like insects, just like pure insects, and just have like a little bit of magic, right? Like reflavor this Aether charged insects. But I'm not 100% sure. This is like the one I'm again unsure about. Because we have like we have the dwarves as prevalent insects, right? But I think the sprite would also be interesting. And sprites being... That is also true. Damn. Maybe... I put them here. I need to think about these. Because we're in the same place with Arnadi, right? Exactly the same. But I don't want to kill off... Yeah. I just don't want to like pull the trigger if it goes to reduce whimsy. Well, Fae are just fucking brutal. Like anyone who says like Fae are like, oh, they're whimsy, dude. Because we have Fae with the hags, right? We don't need to make them like fairies in like the sense of them. Oh, they're like whimsy and ha ha ha, and they're funny and they're like magical little extra planar beings. We could make them a little bit more like, okay, they're like a species or a nation, but I'm not 100% sure. I keep them in for the time being, but I'm not sure. What I want to say was, I was thinking about the dragonets the other day, and the dragonets should go into the extinct, because I'm thinking that the dragonets are just like the beta dragons who are like killing each other, becoming bigger and stronger, right? If the dragons started to kill each other to absorb their souls to become the Dovahkiin, I think the dragonets were like the smaller cousin and they were the first to go. But I'm also not 100% sure on that. I was just like thinking about this the other day. I don't know why I'm like given the Cobalt draw of being born where dragons spill their blood. I mean, yeah. I need to think about the dragonets. I don't want to do a judgment call right here. But I would put them in extinct. I don't want them in the setting per se, because we have the kobolds and the lizard folk, and we have so much scaly representation. And we have the dragon blood heritage. We have not talked about the heritages, but there's like dragon blood and like those heritage and those ancestries is an idea that we should maybe pursue. Goloma and Circe go into rare. I want them in. I at least like the Goloma, I feel like. But like rewrite them a little bit with like the, oh, they hate people with 2 eyes. It's like, okay. They're like plenty weird for us. Minotaur Centaurs, we put them in uncommon, I feel like. Because they're like mainly planeswalkers, right? And then we have these guys. And just to have them at the moment in a list, I would do this. I feel like, right? I mean, the Nagashi... I feel like the Nagashi... Just let them run, right? I mean, true. Because, like, the Nagashi is just like they ran... Yeah. Let's put Minotaur on rare. You're absolutely right. So how many do we have of each? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need to write the centaurs before we do the judgment call on them, because I feel like if they're like sitting on a continent and just are like a big pack of like looters and raiders, if we do this, if we go like the Mongolian route that I originally thought about, where it's like very like close to World of Warcraft actually, or like Warcraft, where the Minotaurs are like raiders, not the Minotaurs, the centaurs. Then I am like I would think about maybe being uncommon, because they're like land dwelling folk, but they're not like low in number necessarily. But I'm not 100% liking that in. I think like this is like if Centaur's rare or not is like maybe. Minotaur, I agree. You are absolutely right. They're too tight to the Nagashi to not be there. So how many? We have 7 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think this is a nice spread. And I think the spread is also representative of like who is what player in which setting, right? I think putting the Strix there in common is the wisest thing to do. It's the logical thing to do. I'm still like thinking about maybe putting these in common. But again, if we're going like for Haven as the main thing, then they would be uncommon. But the lizard folk having like a necromancer city on lockdown would be like make them more common, right? I think we are lacking one scaly. Oh no, we have the kobolds. Sorry, we have the kobolds. Let me see. We have the orcs. We have the colo. We have at least like enough like mammals. We have an insect with the dwarves. We have a scaly with the kobolds. And we have something fucked up with and we have a burb. Yeah, we have everything covered. Maybe we don't have fish. The fish is like the one thing, but I'm not like caring enough about the fish. The fish are the Athamaru are here. And I think they're fine there. I think they fit the setting as a rare ancestry and nothing else. But yeah, my music ended, apparently. And with that music ending, we reached the time we end the stream, I think. However, we're doing another stream. I said I would do writing again because we need to do a lot of writing. Like, I know a year sounds long, but like to get all of this info, we are nearly done with the ancestries, and we have not talked, except for the ancestry specific stuff, what like people of that species do. We have not talked about any historical people, any like big events except for like the wars. And we also have not talked about like world stuff. And we also have not talked about modern stuff. Like how do the modern societies like operate, except for like Haven as like a sheet. So what we're doing is we're trying to like put like 2 maybe tomorrow to rest of these. The ones that don't need much explanation, that are like if we go with like tomorrow and do a sweep of all the post Aetherflood people, we could do easily do Puppet, Awakened Animal, and Konrazu in one stream. And then we only have like four ancestries. And then we're done. Like at least like with like general information, right? Then we could do heritages, but the heritages we can like easily like snipe 2 or 3 in the stream, because they are just like, okay, how do they exist and what do they do and how do they manifest in people? And that's it. You don't need like a long history. Everyone, we have like written a lot of text, dude. I would be interested in just for shits and giggles, put these on like a DNA 4 sheet and just see how much pages we would have written already. But yeah, regardless, I would say I head off now. And tomorrow we are doing like a little bit of like post Aetherflood sweep, and then we have most of them done. And then on the weekend, if it presents itself, I think Saturday would be like a possible candidate, or Friday. We could do the last of the ancestries, and then we are like, except for like writing out the text, which I would do on like, maybe would do a little bit offline and just like have you co-read this, what I wrote, just to like save the stream time, to like be productive together instead of like me writing a text, is I think more sensitive, more like valuable in terms of our time. And other than that, we could then go to like other stuff in the setting, right? But yeah, I will head off now. Wish you a good night. See you around. And do I have someone to raid? Let's see. Is this someone I can raid finally? I don't know. Thank you. We will see each other tomorrow. Show more. Nope. Nope. There's like one VTuber, but no. I don't know why I'm not seeing many VTubers. I don't want to raid it to like a 3,000 something raid thing. This is like bad taste in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, I will head off. See you around and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.